They say hospitals are where life begins, and where it sometimes quietly ends. But on one gray Tuesday morning, inside a bustling city hospital, a woman named Dr. Angela Reid learned something far more sobering, that even in the house of healing, bias still lives. People in chairs, fluorescent lights humming, nurses moving briskly between stations. Angela sits quietly in the corner, her blouse damp with rain, her hand pressed tightly to her chest. The rhythmic beep of a distant monitor seems to sync with her pulse, slow, uncertain. She'd been feeling the pain for hours, a dull tightening beneath her breastbone that refused to go away. At first, she thought it was stress, meetings, reports, a life spent taking care of others before herself. But now, it was different. Burning. "Excuse me, please, I think I need to see a doctor." The young woman behind the counter, early 20s, gum chewing, eyes fixed on the computer, barely glances up. "Fill out the form. We'll call you when it's your turn. This could be serious." "Everyone thinks it's serious. Please take a seat." Angela swallows her words. She looks around. A man scrolling his phone, a woman holding a crying child, two interns chatting near the vending machine. No one looks at her twice. There's a certain kind of silence that only exists in places like this. It's not the peaceful kind. It's the kind that tells you you're not being seen. She lowers herself into a chair, trying to steady her breathing. The pain grows sharper. Her phone vibrates. A text from her assistant flashes across the screen. Reminder, Board of Directors meeting at 10 a.m., Conference Room A. She stares at the message for a moment, then closes her eyes. Angela said to herself, "If I can just get through this morning." For 25 years, Dr. Angela Reid had dedicated her life to saving others. She'd written policies to ensure equal care for all. She'd helped fund this very hospital's cardiac unit, the same one she now waited to be admitted into. But none of that mattered now. Because today, she wasn't wearing her white coat. She was just another black woman in pain. And to them, that meant waiting. Minutes crawl. The clock ticks louder. She watches others being called before her, some who arrived long after she did. Then, from across the room, a voice speaks, low, gruff. "Guess she's not that sick. If she were, she'd be making more noise." Angela's chest tightens again, not from the pain this time, but from humiliation. When you've spent your life earning respect, it cuts deep to realize it can vanish the moment you're unseen. Her vision blurs slightly. She reaches for the clipboard, trying to finish her form. Her pen slips from her hand and clatters to the floor. A janitor, an older black man, notices and walks over. His name tag reads Samuel. He bends down and picks it up. "You all right, ma'am?" Angela answered weakly, "I just need someone to look at me." He glances at her trembling hands and pale face, then at the desk where no one seems to care. "Hold on. Let me get someone." He approaches the nurse's station. "Hey, excuse me, that lady over there, she doesn't look too good. Might want to check on her." The nurse barely looked up. "She's on the list. We'll get to her. She can barely breathe." "You sure you want to wait on that?" The nurse sighs, annoyed. "Sir, we're doing the best we can. Please let us work." Samuel mutters under his breath. "Yeah, if you call that work." He shakes his head and returns to his cart. Angela gives him a faint nod of gratitude. Sometimes it's not the pain that hurts most. It's the knowing that if your skin were a shade lighter, help would already be on the way. Angela looks around the room again. People avoiding her eyes, the clock ticking, her breathing ragged. She leans back, fighting dizziness. The overhead lights blur. A nurse finally walks over, clipboard in hand. "Ma'am, you said chest pain?" Angela answered weakly, "Yes. It started early this morning." "Okay, but we're short on doctors. I'll see if someone can squeeze you in." The nurse walked away. Angela's eyes close. The hum of the hospital fades under the sound of her heartbeat, faint, irregular. 37 minutes. That's how long she waited before anyone touched her wrist to check for a pulse. And in those 37 minutes, Dr. Angela Reid, a woman who had saved hundreds of lives, wondered if hers would end because of apathy. If you've ever been made to feel invisible, in a place meant to heal you, then you know her pain. And if you've ever looked away when someone else suffered that same silence, you might be part of the reason it still happens. Bias doesn't always shout. Sometimes it just looks away. If you work in a place of care, a clinic, an office, a school, remember this moment. Compassion should never need credentials. Angela's phone vibrates again, another text from her assistant. "We're waiting for you, Dr. Reid." Somewhere upstairs, in a boardroom with polished glass walls, her seat sat empty. No one knew that the woman they were waiting for was fighting for her life just 3 floors below. At the nurse's station, the receptionist sighs, scrolling through her screen. Another nurse peers over her shoulder. "Hey, the next patient's file says Angela Reid. Doesn't that name sound familiar?" "Not really. I think that's the name on the donor wall in administration." The receptionist laughed. "Oh please. You think someone like that would be sitting in the ER?" They both laugh lightly. A moment later, a doctor walks by and overhears. "Wait, did you say Dr. Angela Reid?" Receptionist replied, "Yeah." The doctor stops. Confusion, then realization crosses his face. He turns sharply toward the waiting room. Where is she? He spots Angela slumped slightly in her chair, eyes closed, her purse slipping from her lap. "Get a gurney, now." "That's Dr. Reid." In an instant, silence shattered. And every indifferent glance, every ignored plea, came crashing down like guilt on their faces. Angela's body was lifted onto a stretcher, monitors attached, a mask placed over her face. The doctor calls out vitals while the same nurse who ignored her stands frozen, trembling. It's strange. How quickly humanity returns when titles enter the room. How mercy finds its way back. Once power has a name. There's a cruel irony to urgency, how it only arrives once the truth does. Angela's stretcher wheels through swinging doors, the blur of white coats and blue scrubs surrounding her. The same people who ignored her now move like a well-oiled machine, shouting vitals, adjusting oxygen, calling for tests. She's tachycardic, 128. Get me an EKG, stat. Let's move, people. Nurses scramble, attaching wires. The sound of beeping grows louder. She wasn't just another patient anymore. She was a name, a title, someone. But that didn't erase the 37 minutes they let her fade into the background. It didn't undo the quiet cruelty of waiting. The receptionist stands frozen, staring at the empty chair where Angela sat minutes ago. The clipboard still lies on the floor, her unfinished form, a trembling signature ending. The receptionist then whispers, "Dr. Reid." "The Dr. Reid?" A silence falls over the desk. No one speaks, but their eyes say everything. Shame, disbelief, and the quiet question, "What have we done?" The nurse said softly, "She's coming around." The heart monitor steadies, the rhythmic beep softening. Somewhere between consciousness and dreams, Angela hears the echoes, voices calling her name, machines humming, apologies whispered under breath. She sees flashes, a childhood memory of her mother clutching her hand in a clinic that turned them away for insurance issues. And later, the vow she made to herself, "One day, I'll build a hospital where no one gets left behind." Now, the very place she helped build had almost ended her story. Her eyes open fully. She sees the doctor beside her, mid-40s, sweat on his brow, relief flooding his face. "Dr. Reid, you're okay? You're in good hands now." Angela's weak but steady. Good hands? Where were they 40 minutes ago? The room stills. A heavy pause follows. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. We didn't realize." Angela interrupts, hoarse. "That I was important enough to save?" The words cut through the air. Even the monitor seems to pause between beats. It wasn't anger in her voice. It was something deeper, disappointment. The kind that only comes from realizing the system you built with love no longer recognizes your humanity. The board meeting was supposed to begin an hour ago. The executives sit waiting, uneasy. An empty chair at the head of the table. The nameplate reads, "Dr. Angela Reid, Director." The room buzzes with whispers, "She's never late." Maybe she canceled? Someone check her office. A knock. The door opens. Dr. Miller, the same doctor from the stands there pale, holding his clipboard. She's downstairs. She had a cardiac episode. The board gasps. Board members echoed, what? Is she all right? She will be. But there's something you should know. She waited almost 40 minutes before anyone treated her. Our staff didn't realize who she was. Board members echoed again, didn't realize who she was? What does that even mean? Dr. Miller looks down, ashamed. She wasn't wearing her badge. Came in through the public ER. They assumed she was just another walk-in. Just another. That's the problem, isn't it? Angela's empty seat. The camera lingers on her nameplate as her voice overlaps. I built a hospital to heal the sick, not to feed egos. We promised compassion would come before credentials. And yet, here I am, a patient in my own house, almost turned away by the very culture I helped create. In Angela's room. She's sitting upright now, for in her arm. The sunlight filters softly through the blinds. The nurse from the front desk enters, hesitant. Her eyes are red, mascara smudged. She clutches a paper cup of water. Dr. Reid, I wanted to apologize. I didn't. Angela interrupting her, didn't see me? Or didn't want to see me? The nurse swallows hard, tears brimming. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Angela studies her face for a long moment, then nods slowly. Apologies heal feelings. But change heals people. Make sure this doesn't happen again, not to anyone. The nurse nods silently and leaves. Angela's words didn't rise like thunder. They landed like rain, soft, steady, but enough to grow something new. A moment later, Samuel, the janitor, knocks gently on the door. Heard you gave him a scare, Doc. Angela smiling faintly, guess I did. Thank you for not walking past me. Would have been a sin not to, ma'am. And maybe that's what humanity really is. The choice not to walk past someone who's hurting, even when it's easy to. 1 week later, a new sign is being mounted on the wall, Compassion First, the Angela Reid Patient Initiative. Staff gather as Angela, now recovered, addresses them from her wheelchair. I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about what happens when we forget why we wear these badges. Because the moment we decide someone's worth is measured by who they seem to be, we've failed medicine and humanity. Soft applause fills the hall. Across faces, some guilty, some inspired, some tearful. In every institution, there's a mirror. Sometimes it takes one painful moment to make people finally look into it. Angela was walking slowly toward the exit, her coat draped over her arm. She pauses beside the donor wall, her own engraved name reflecting faintly in the glass. Dr. Angela Reid's story isn't just about bias in a hospital. It's about how easy it is to dehumanize someone until we realize they have power. But compassion, true compassion, shouldn't need a name tag to show up. So the next time you walk into a hospital, a school, or an office, remember her story. Remember that mercy means more when no one's watching. Because one day, it might be you in that waiting room, hoping someone looks up and sees you for who you are, not what you look like. Her name was Dr. Angela Reid. But she could have been any of us.